What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, we are going to be reviewing the Merciless Minions Pack for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, published by Renegade Game Studios and designed by Jonathan Ying. Now, you might see that we got the Time Force Rangers in front of us, the Merciless Minions are out there, and we are using the monsters and characters from Villain Pack number 5, Terror Through Time. So, depending on how the order everything is released, you probably will have already seen the Time Force Rangers, but we're playing everything all at once. Just if you're wondering why the setup looks very similar. So, I want to get that out before I forgot. Now, Julie's going to take it away and tell you more about the game itself.
Well, first, we'd like to thank Renegade Games for sending us this review copy. We appreciate the support of the channel, and we'd like to remind our viewers that our opinion will remain our own. So, this is an expansion for a cooperative game that is for 2 to 5 players, expandable up to 6, for ages 14 and above, and plays in about 45 to 90 minutes.
You always got to have that 6th Ranger. That adds a little bit of flavor to the series. Now, what will you be doing in Heroes of the Grid? Well, you're trying to save the world from different enemies. You will be playing as the Rangers, moving around the board, battling the different minions. Now, if you do have the Cycle Ranger expansion, I'm drawing a complete blank as to what it's called. You can also play as the villains. We haven't done that yet. Doesn't really interest us, but I'm sure it'll happen at some point. And yes, I'm talking about it because we're talking about the villains. But as Rangers, you're moving around, rolling dice to defeat the different minions. Well, I really wish I could get these rolls when I'm actually playing the game. That's 4 hits. So you'll be trying to get hits on the villain cards in order to defeat them. You'll be taking out the different minions. You will then be facing off against monsters. Depending on the pack, you will have the option to add some nemesis villains as well. They can do a lot more damage. And then finally, you'll be facing off against a boss who will be one of the more famous characters from Power Rangers. In this case, we're probably going to be facing off against Trakina in this current game. And yeah, she's from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, so we're going to try to kick her butt before she turns into a giant bug. Julie hasn't seen it. I've seen it, so she doesn't know what I'm talking about. And what else are we doing, Julie? Because I know you like to talk about that. It's one of your favorite things to do.
Oh, well, as you defeat the villains, minions, foot soldiers, you power up in order to get your different colored Zords, and then ultimately your Megazord. And
she likes to stomp on the mini. Sometimes I have to say, like, hey, just don't smash the mini. She has fun doing that. She likes destroying things.
Okay, so on that note, it's time to grab our drinks.
Grab our fellow foot soldier.
And we're going to take it to the table one more time.
One more time. Now we're going to take a look at the components for the Merciless Minions Pack for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. So you do get this rule sheet, which gives you a list of components. It explains who these minions are, and you'll get a little bit of background on them. You also get a reminder as to how to integrate the expansion content into the game, and instructions how to use the new Chaos Putties that actually don't have any of their own unique figures. So we'll take a look at the Cyclobots first. So you do get the new miniatures. I just took 2 of them out so that you could see. We'll take a look at their actual cards right now. So Cleaving Strike, which is deal 2 damage to 2 different Rangers. Dense Defense, which is a guard card with health 4 and drain 1 energy. Forward March, while this card is in play, after each addition enemy card resolves, you get to deal 2 damage. Then Overwhelm, deal 2 damage, and skip the next Ranger turn in battle. So overall, some not so nice stuff. You've got the Cyclobots, values of 1, values of 2, 3, as you can see right here. Then you've got Clock Tower and the Biolab locations that we'll take a look at in just a moment. So we're going to save the Chaos Putty cards for last. Here we've got the Cogs. So these are the miniatures that you get. And I'm really happy to have these characters since we have the Machine Empire. Felt kind of weird to be facing off against Mondo and his cronies without the Cogs. We'll start with just, the Cogs spawn cards here. Take a look. Stone Canyon High, then the Interstate Highway. Here we've got their cards. A Clockwork Blaster, Drain 1 Energy, and deal 2 damage. Disassembly required. So while this card is in play, when another foot soldier card would be defeated by damage, this one gets defeated instead. Shock Spear, drain 2 energy unless a ranger suffers 3 damage to prevent it. Tick-tock, deal 2 damage and increase the damage by 1 for each other foot soldier card that has been resolved. So some nasty stuff right there. Then we've got the new locations. So we've got the Interstate Highway. On the back side, when a ranger moves away from this location, they must discard the top card of their deck. Stone Canyon High. When a ranger moves away from this location, they may choose 1 card from their discard pile and place it on top of their deck. So that's pretty cool. Biolab. During each battle in this location, the first time a foot soldier card is defeated, do not place its figure on the experience track. That's no fun. In the Clock Tower. During each battle in this location, the first time a foot soldier card is defeated, take an extra figure from the supply and place it on the experience track. So there you have it. We've now gone through the components for the Merciless Minions Pack for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. Now keep it right here as we'll be coming back at you with our review of this expansion. Everyone, right before we get to our review, I realized I neglected to showcase the new Chaos Putty cards. I was actually in the process of getting ready to move on to the next thing, and that's why you don't have the Cog or the Cyclobots there. But they don't need to be up for me to take a look at these Chaos Putty cards, so I'll go over them quickly. So the first card, Cause Havoc, drain 1 energy, skip the next ranger turn this battle. Chaos Burst, deal an amount of damage to a single ranger equal to the number of cards in their hand. If their hand is empty, they must discard the top card of their deck instead. Erratic Movement, while this card is in play, increase the health value of each adjacent enemy card by 1. That's going to be really obnoxious. Force Frenzy, 1 ranger must discard 1 random card from their hand. If it's an attack, deal 2 damage to another ranger, otherwise drain an energy. Then Total Mayhem, deal 1 damage to each ranger, increases damage by 1 for each panicked location. So the crazier things get, the more damage these putties can deal out. So there you go. Now we've actually gone through all the components and we're coming back at you with our review. So Julie, what did you think of the Merciless Minions Pack?
Stop.
What?
I know it bugs you.
3, 2, 1. So Julie, what did you think of... 3, 2, 1. So, Julie, what did you think of the Merciless Minions Pack for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid?
Well, I have to say, honestly, the cogs just felt like cogs in our wheels. They really honestly didn't feel that difficult. I don't know if it's the Rangers. I can't remember anything much about them except that they were just there and needed to be beat. I didn't think anything specifically on any of one of them made them any really special in any way, at least personally.
No, I found that the cogs were, like Julie said, annoying. They weren't that difficult to defeat. It did feel like they had a lot of 3 cards with a lot of guard and some passive effects, which could be really annoying if some stuff chained together. But using the Rangers and using like Time Flyer 3, Trip's ability, and Jen's ability to move some stuff around, I think we were really able to navigate around the cogs using the Time Force Rangers. That being said, I think having them fighting against the Zeo Rangers or other Rangers that you have could definitely be a lot more annoying. I don't think it's going to challenge anyone, but they're definitely, they can throw some wrenches. I know they're cogs. I was trying to think of something witty to say. No, they can throw some wrenches into your gears. There you go.
Okay, so Cyclobots, those were, obviously they're supposed to be a little bit harder. Their health seemed to be, fairly high in some cases for some of them, considering that they're just foot soldiers, basically.
Yeah, they were all in. Here are the Cyclobot minis, just so you can see. And Julie can pick up a cog just so you can see one of them. They're right there, right in the front.
Oh, I could. He's so small. Anyways, again, they weren't very difficult. They did chain a couple times to be quite annoying, just because of the passive. I felt like they had a fair bit of passive.
Yeah, they have some passive. Both of these cards have some fairly annoying passive abilities, and the Cyclobots do feel like they can take a lot more punishment.
Or give a lot more punishment.
Both. I think they can do both. Because a couple times where we did not defeat the card and we had to figure out a way to go back.
Yeah. Well, and that's the point. So basically, cogs not memorable. Cyclobots were a little bit more annoying, and it seemed like we required a little bit more time. Luckily, there weren't as many of them, but there's at least once or twice that we had like 3 of them, and that made it pretty annoying.
Yeah, whenever we got like 3 to 4 Cyclobots out, it definitely felt like, okay, we're going to need to dip into the resources and strategize. Whereas with the cogs, it felt like it was a toss-up. If we got some of the weaker cog cards, it was like, okay, yeah, we're going to just steamroll these guys. They got a lot of 2 health stuff. Let's just get them done. But the Cyclobots definitely felt like they were a larger threat. And I like that because the game has been lacking a lot of variety when it comes to the enemies, like the minions, and especially if you didn't get the Kickstarter pack, so you're missing an entire type of minion that was in the big Kickstarter box that we got back here. So this was the kind of the pack that's been really needed for the game. Also, I'll be discussing it in a later review. I will be playing against the Chaos Putties. We didn't have time to do it specifically for this one. Also, I just felt that the Chaos Putties fight better thematically against like the Mighty Morphin team, so it fits with where they're at in the comic book, and that's the team that includes like the 2nd generation of Rangers. So that'll be pretty cool, and you can hear my thoughts about those cards there. But I like that as well. It's extra value that you're getting in this box. You're getting 2 full new minion sets and a 3rd way to play with your existing miniatures.
Plus, you're getting 4 location cards.
Yeah, the 4 locations, so you can also mix that in to add some more variety. You can play with Cyclobots and Putties, Cyclobots and Tengus, Cyclobots and like the Ranger Sentries. And I really like the fact that the game has been focusing on, even if you're not getting new miniatures, expanding the offerings for the minion types so that you get more variety with your plays of the game, because it was feeling stale. So I really like what they've done with this pack. Not the most challenging, but you don't need it to be your Rangers. You want to punch these bad guys in the face, and I think that comes across very well.
Yeah, I have nothing to say about the locations. They don't mean anything to me because I'm not a fan of the IP, but I don't know.
They're well picked in terms of what they're from. I believe like the Clock Tower and Stone Canyon High are from. I mean, you can tell by like what's on the back there. So sorry, the Biolab, and I believe, and Stone Canyon High. Sorry, is from Zeo, and then you've got the Biolab from Time Force. So you can just tell really by the cards here. We won't waste too much time going through what they're from. But the highway is the cogs, which means the clock tower. Of course, I should have figured that out. The clock tower, the reference to Time Force, is where you find the Cyclobots. So also you can change the layout. You can flip those locations over for the assault mode and make it more challenging as well. So lots of stuff that you can do with the contents of this pack. I think we've talked enough about it. There's really not too much to discuss. Julie, what is your score for this expansion for the game?
Well, it doesn't. I'm not trying to be difficult, but it didn't really change anything much for me, so I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Well, I'm going to give it a higher score. I'm going to give it a 7.5 because I like what you're getting. I like the fact that you're getting essentially 3 new sets of minions. Like I said, I don't think these are my favorite minions in the game. I like the locations. And I think that this is something that is really like almost an essential buy for someone that has a lot of content for the game, or you're finding your game's a little lacking and you want to refresh it. You'll probably get more value out of getting this than even getting a new Ranger team, because it's going to change up what you're going to be playing with, and it works well with just even the core box because essentially you get 3 new sets of villains to play with. So, and that's why I like it. But I get your perspective. For you, it doesn't change that much. You don't really care who you're punching in the face, just that you're punching someone in the face.
A villain, yes. So on that note, I'm going to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see one of the hundreds of pictures of Julie and I playing Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, yes, we played the game that many times out. You'll find plenty on those feeds. Also down there's a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Make sure you click the link and you get 10% off your next purchase there. It's a great way to support the channel. A portion of that purchase will be returned to us. They've got lots of stuff from Renegade Games, so if you're looking for this pack, you're looking for the upcoming G.I. Joe Mission Critical, make sure that you check them out, use the link, and you'll save yourself some money. And now popping up in front of us, you're going to see links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release, and since we were talking more about the different minion types, I'll take you back to our review of the Shattered Grid expansion, because it's got the first new set of minions, the Mastodon Sentries, I think, or Mastodon Troopers that were added. There's Ranger Sentries, Mastodon Troopers, hard to keep all the names straight. On that note, we're now going to
Grab our drink.
grab our fellow Ranger.
And we're going to keep playing games.
Keep playing games. Keep playing this one. We got a lot more Power Rangers content to go through. Don't worry. You don't have to go through more than like 2 more boxes with me.
For now.